recording following today's training. It will be posted in the partner portal, and we will also send it out to all attendees via email. If you don't yet have portal access, feel free to email me directly, or you can email marketing@rapidScale.net and we can get you set up in no time. If you have any questions at all during today's training, just chat them over in that questions panel on your GoToWebinar panel, and we can get them answered or ask them at the end and the team can address them. So I'm excited to introduce you to Shannon and Dan. They will be leading the majority of today's webinar, talking to you about Incapsula and the technology. So Shannon and Dan, I'm going to give you guys screen access. If you want to introduce yourself in your role, that would be great, and I'll get you guys access right now.
Thank you, Summer. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shannon Tweety, Director of Strategic Channels and Service Provider Sales. Just going through the screen. Hopefully everybody can see my screen.
Yep.
Sure. Okay. Starting from the top, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Shannon Tweety. I'm the Director of Strategic Channels and Service Provider Sales. Also on the call today is Dan De La Garza. Dan is our SE that supports the RapidScale account. The purpose of the call today is just give you a very high-level overview of the Incapsula solution, our partnership with RapidScale, the gaps that we fill in the industry, and some probing questions, use cases, etc. So as part of the RapidScale cloud security practice, Incapsula provides an inclusive, fully integrated application solution that allows organizations to simplify their IT operation and reduce costs by consolidating multiple services into a single enterprise service. We do know that companies have website vulnerabilities. 96% of web applications have vulnerabilities, where 61% of all traffic is non-human, and half of that is bad bots. Can you guys see my screen? The slides aren't in particular order, the order that we originally.
You can see your screen.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So before we jump into these slides, what I would like to point out, Imperva is a cloud-based solution. When presenting to your customers, there's no hardware, software upgrade. Actually, this is a very easy product to implement. The solution itself consists of web security. So think of a WAF, CDN, DDoS, and global load balancing. The gaps that we address out in the field is enhancing performance, speed, availability, and reliability of your web sites. So to simplify that, we keep sites like Amazon, Starbucks, many other companies all across the board. We keep those websites up so you can use them, and we also enhance performance on them. So a couple studies here. Slow loading websites impact user experience. There's data that shows for every second that somebody has to wait, the chances of them jumping or moving to another website is around 25%. Also, according to the Aberdeen Group, a 1 second delay in page load time equals 11% fewer page views, 16% decrease in customer satisfaction, and 7% loss in conversion. Downtime costs. There's actually been several studies on this. A company called Ponyman came out and estimated around 8,000 per minute per incident. There's also a recent release last month where they surveyed 1,000 companies with revenue between $500 million and $1 billion in revenue. The average attack estimated around $100,000 an hour, and the attack lasting 10 to 12 hours. So high level, your average attack, website attack, whether it's DDoS, WAF, etc., cost is anywhere between $1 million and $2.5 million. Million obviously being at the low number, based on all the recent studies that have come out. Businesses with in-house DR solutions recover from outages 3 times slower than those with DR services. So as we jump into this, why look at Imperva? Why is Imperva important to your customers? We are the market leader, best of breed in security, web security, including DDoS and enterprise WAF. We have an extensive global network, the largest in the industry, 38 data centers around the globe with an aggregated capacity of 4 terabits. What does that mean to you? We're within 50 milliseconds of 90% of the global traffic. Your largest DDoS attacks to date, well, the largest one was around 600 gigs. It was done, the Brian Krebs attack, it was actually done to the expert in DDoS knowledge or resource out there. That attack was around 600 gigs. There was another one in the UK that was around a terabit. We tend to stay 10 times over the largest attacks. Today we're at 4.5 terabits of scrubbing capacities. So surely way ahead of the bad guys, if you will. Tons of customers, 40,000 customers around the globe, every size, every vertical. And as mentioned earlier in the presentation, it's a simple activation with no hardware, software upgrades, changing the code, changing environment, etc. Gartner has actually come out, and this is unprecedented, simply never happened before, and they named Imperva 3 years in a row as the Gartner Magic Quadrant, or the leader in our space. Hence the reason is that first bullet point points out market leader, best of breed, etc. So high level, how does Incapsula work? It's a simple redirect of your DNS traffic. Your DNS traffic hits one of our scrubbing centers. We scrub that traffic, send a clean traffic through. The 4 components of that is the web security, the DDoS protection, CDN, and load balancing. This is an always-on solution. It's basically a plug and play. That traffic goes through our scrubbing center. We mitigate that from all the malicious activity and send a clean traffic through. We take a layered approach. So access control, block unwanted IPs, regions, and countries. What does that mean? If you're doing business, let's say, if you're doing business only in the US and you're not doing business, let's say in China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, why receive traffic from those locations? It's very easy for you to go into the user interface, click on those countries, add IPs, regions, etc., and block any traffic coming in from those areas. Bot mitigation, we have several patents in place. It's a proprietary client classification algorithm that blocks automated attackers, bad bots, scrapers, and spammers. The WAF portion of it, we've already touched on that, addresses the OWASP top 10, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, RFIs, and then custom rules. You have the ability to add custom rules and policies. Also added to the service with no additional cost is built-in two-factor authentication. So this is blanket. It doesn't have to be specific to the entire network. And what that is, and I'm sure you guys have all experienced that, where you've tried to log into a bank, your bank, an e-commerce site, and they ask to send you a code just to verify that you're human and not a bot, a robot, a bad bot, etc. So you are able to get granular in that and do that per page, not the entire server. And then automatic identification and quarantine of backdoors on web servers. Basically what that is somebody has come into your end user's network, they put some malicious code on the server, and they're using that to go in and mine data, grab important information, deface your website, use your servers as a DDoS attack. Once your end user starts using this service, we're able to block that, cut off command and control, and quarantine any further malicious activity that might be going on with your servers. The Incapsula Security Advantage, as mentioned earlier, we have a lot of customers today, well over 40,000 customers. Because this is a web-based solution, we have clear visibility on the web attack landscape. We do take a layered approach, a layered security approach. We have the most up-to-date IP reputation list. Not only do we have one of the best defense centers out there. It's called our Application Defense Center, but we also get feeds from companies such as HP, IBM, White Hat, Qualys, etc. We do offer client classification and WAF signatures, and the product is very easy to use, very easy to implement. We can usually deploy a project within a couple minutes. We generally tell the client 24 hours, but the process itself takes about 15 minutes. And again, there's no hardware, software upgrade, no changing of code, no changing of environment, etc. So why Sell Imperva? If I've lost you thus far, please focus in on these last two slides, or last couple slides. The product, the great thing about selling product is the product actually works. I like to call it swagger. I carried a bag for 17 years. Feel confident whenever you're meeting with your clients that you're presenting a product that is best of breed, market leader, very intuitive, very easy to use. It addresses a big need out in the market. This actually makes you the trusted advisor, just not selling another product. We encourage you to push POCs. As a company, we have around an 85% conversion rate when a company does go through one of our POCs or trials. It's 14 days, but we are able to extend that generally another week or 2 weeks. But the user interface that they're actually looking at is the same user interface that they use when it's an active account. Generally, how it works is a customer goes through the 14-day trial. They give you the point of contact, the website that they want to protect. They use the product for 14 days. RapidScale goes in and moves that from a trial account to an active account, and they're off to the races. You guys are billing them on the same platform that they've been using for the last 14 days. So don't be leery of pilots. Easy to install, easy to understand GUI user interface, and it does show immediately attacks, what's happening in their network, etc. And it's fully managed by RapidScale. So what to listen out for while out in the field? When I get asked, what do you guys do? What technology do you offer? The simplest way, very high level way of explaining it, and I mentioned it earlier in the presentation, is anytime you go on an e-commerce site, anytime you use banking, we're that company that keeps those websites up. We enhance the reliability on those websites, the performance, the speed of your e-commerce sites. So that's it high level. When you're meeting with a customer, and there's a lot more to it than this, but hopefully you get the gist of it, is when you're meeting with a customer, things to listen out for is, how's your business affected if your websites go down? Pointed out on an earlier slide, companies do leave your website if your pages aren't loading quickly. Also, if your websites go down, the cost of those sites being down on a low end is generally around $1 million, and it's not unusual for that to jump up to $2.5 million. They calculate those numbers. Companies are like, whoa, that's a little bit high, but they calculate those numbers by lost revenue, brand reputation, what's the likelihood of somebody coming back to your website, any legal fees that you have to pay. You've seen with the Home Depots, Targets of the world, everybody that was affected, they have to get some type of notification anytime somebody's checking their credits, etc. So legal fees, and then paying somebody to come in and fix their environment, etc. So to take a little bit deeper step, what to listen out for. Companies that have experienced a DDoS attack or feel that they're a target of a DDoS attack. Majority of your companies are familiar with DDoS attacks, especially if you're talking to the security team, IT team. It seems to be a broken record as far as being mentioned in security rags, resources, etc. So DDoS is a big one. Are you concerned about web attacks? Are you concerned about your web applications going down? Companies that have budgetary IT restraints, any type of cloud initiative. A big driver is PCI 6.6. It's a regulatory requirement. And in short, what that means is any company that stores credit card information, etc., they either have to do a code review, which isn't really a security play, or they have to have a WAF in place. And obviously the Imperva RapidScale partnership addresses that. As far as from a scoping perspective, and this is just more for your edification, generally what we see, how the process works is, hey Dylan, hey RapidScale, we came across the customer, they have a security initiative, they're concerned about their websites going down. Do you have 30 minutes, an hour to jump on a call next week? Dylan or myself can jump on that call. Dan, my SE, can jump on that call. We'll kind of take it from there. We'll do the heavy lifting from there. High-level overview to the customer, address any questions that they have, speak to their environment, etc. But for your knowledge, as far as pricing out pricing or scoping out a project, it's very simple. We're actually simplifying this as well as we speak, and there'll be new pricing coming out in the next couple of weeks. But how many websites, what are they looking to protect? How many websites do they have? How much clean bandwidth do they have? We can get started from there. The add-ons are DDoS mitigation level, load balancing, and then SIM connectors. So there's two components that we're looking for to price this out. And then on top of that is additional revenue. I mentioned earlier, this is a low entry point. Your lowest entry point or your lowest cost to the customer is $500 per month or $6,000 annual cost. But a lot of these deals get up into the $250,000, $500,000 deals as we start adding on the additional services, infrastructure protection, load balancing, etc. So get the customer using the product. Once they're using the product, they are going to be happy, and we will start looking at providing additional services as their demands request or request permit. All right, so we kind of rifled through that really quickly. It looks like we're 20 minutes in. Dan, what I'd like to do is turn this over to you for a quick look at our demo. And while Dan is doing that, Summer, are we able to open up the floor for any questions, or would it be easier to wait after Dan's?
We can address them now while he's getting set up. Can you talk more about the POC environment and how it's possible to try it before you buy it?
Yeah, absolutely. So when starting a POC, what we're looking for from the customer is what website they're looking to protect or what website they're looking to use for the demo. Generally, a lot of times what we see is it's their main website. There doesn't need, or we don't need to put it in blocking mode. It can be in just view mode or alert mode, so it doesn't affect any of their traffic patterns, and it also gives them a good sense of how the performance enhances the performance on their CDN. Dan's going to show you high level what that looks like on our demo. I think it'll clarify any questions that might come up. If not, please feel free to ask them at that time. A good question.
Can everyone see my screen right now?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Shannon, did you want to add anything else?
No, I was just going to see if there's any other questions. Summer, if any other questions have come in.
Nope, we're good to go right now.
Perfect. So everybody, my name is Dan De La Garza, security engineer with Imperva. I'm aligned with Shannon, just like he mentioned. I work with all the service providers at Imperva. And this is our demo account, right? So what happens here, if you were to bring on a customer, they would see the screen, but there'd be no websites, right? And there'd be a button to click on add site. So they would add their site, example.com. And then when they click add, they would have the necessary DNS settings to plug into their DNS provider, right? The A records, the C names that we provide. This is the DNS change that Shannon was mentioning earlier, right? So as they add sites, this list grows, and then we can drill down further. Once they add sites and everything's configured on the DNS level, this is the dashboard view they would see. They choose to log in on a daily basis. This is a good, bird's eye level view of what's going on with their environment. what's going on with their websites that they've set up with Incapsula. So we look at this first tab, the traffic tab. This would give them a good, a good view of what's going on, on a time frame, right? On a couple of days. This can be adjusted, 7 days, 24 hours, but helping them a good idea of what's going on, right? And then you can drill down further. If they're using our CDN service, it show them what's cached, what's blocked, requests. You can see where clients are coming from. You can see what browser they're coming from, right? Very important. A lot of clients like to see, what browsers are being used, bots, then countries, right? Where are those visits coming from? So a lot of customers that we talk to don't do business with countries outside of the US, right? And they can block these countries that they don't do business with, and I'll show you all that later on. But really good level view of what's going on with your website, what's going on in terms of traffic, humans versus bots. I mean, just look at what's going on and see what's coming in. Moving forward, look at the security tab. Security tab, is a good high-level view of the threats that are happening, and what's everything set to. Do we have it set to block? Do we have it set to ignore? This kind of gets to the OWASP top 10, that you hear a lot about. And the OWASP top 10 is one thing that our WAF and Incapsula does solve for. It shows Incapsula rules. Incapsula rules are custom-based security policies that end users can create. Then, of course, incidents by country, bots as well. Performance tab. Performance tab is the tab customers will look at who are using our CDN service. This would break down for them what's being, how much is being cached, and then how much bandwidth is it taking for them, right? How many cache requests are coming in, and then what data center and Incapsula is serving that content, right? So that helps to know where that content's coming from. And then also helps, it tells you what mode you're cached in. Real-time tab gives you, of course, the real-time view of what's happening with your website and what's going on, requests per second, the number of pages blocked, requests, right? How many humans versus bots, bandwidth that your website's, utilizing currently. You can break it down per origin server. Origin server, in most cases, is either a server in your data center, it could be a server in Amazon, or, a load balancer that's in front of your customer servers. Going further into it, you could see the visitor types, right? What country they're coming from. You can drill down further into, are they a bot? Are they coming from Chrome? Are they coming from, Internet Explorer? So you have a good level view of what's going on with your website. And this is all, this is all made to be very user-friendly, right? That's what Incapsula is for. It's made for customers to come in, they can plug in their website, and it goes to work almost instantly. And please, if there's any questions, feel free to ask. This is the events tab, right? So the events tab is what's giving you the events of what's going on, right? Is it SQL injection? Is it cross-site scripting? Are there bots coming in? What's going on with my website? What is the WAF stopping? What is it preventing? And this is where you would see the events that have been generated. Again, you can drill this down to, a time window, 90 days, 7 days, 24 hours. You can break that down even further. Customers that want to get, more into it, they can actually see the payload, right? They can actually look at the requests, and then they can take this a step further and start whitelisting to fine-tune their WAF, right? This is getting a little deep into the weeds, but this is kind of the customization, right, that customers would have with the Incapsula. A lot of times we think cloud, we don't think that, there's a lot of customization in the cloud or cloud tools, but this does, right? This gives you a lot of customization with a WAF and a lot of fine-tuning that you can do. Settings tab. So the settings tab is what customers are initially going to use when they're configuring their website. This is where they would plug in their data, their server name or their IP address of the server. Like I said earlier, server, in their data center, or it could be an Amazon or Azure server. It really doesn't matter. but this is where they would plug in the IP address, or, you know, could be the VIP, you know, on their F5 or their NetScaler, you know, what have you. General settings tab. This is where they would start configuring things like SSL certificates. If they don't have their own SSL certificate, one of the benefits of going with the enterprise package that you are going to be selling is they would get a certificate provided by Incapsula, right? So they could take advantage of our SSL certs, you know, if they didn't have their own. You can do web seals, right? So our logo can come out on your web page, and they could see, you know, a lot of customers, you know, like to have the logo presented while customers are surfing, you know, web pages. One thing I do want to point out that you'll see these exclamation points that you can hover over. This gives you a good idea of what it is you're working on, right? You know, a lot of times like, well, what does, you know, this mean? And you can hover over it, and it would give you the idea of what it is, you know, you're configuring, right? So I like that intuitiveness of the portal. And like I said earlier, that's why it's meant to be so easy to use. Incap rules. Incap rules are custom security rules that customers can configure. You know, a lot of times, you know, there's a good rule right here. For example, there is no reason why you should be getting traffic to your website from AWS, right? A lot of times what happens is hackers will go spin up small cloud servers within AWS and start probing or checking, you know, websites that exist on the internet. And by doing rules like this, we can block that kind of action, right? So this is the kind of customization you could do with Incapsula-based rules. Login Protect, Shannon mentioned this earlier. Login Protect, so whenever you're talking to customers, you hear things like Magento, you hear things like WordPress, things like that, CMSs. You know, a lot of times customers are using WordPress and they get, I don't want to say owned, but they get hacked, right? They, you know, they get hacked on the WordPress site because their WP admin page is exposed, right? And they have the default password set up. So with Login Protect, they can configure their WP admin page in Login Protect, and then when someone tries to log into that, they'll be challenged with another form of authentication, like Google Authenticator, right? So this would give, you know, the customer that, you know, that benefit, you know, one more added step of security, and this is included with the package, right? This is all included, you know, so you can protect your URLs, your admin pages, your login pages with this particular setup. Performance tab. Performance tab is the tab that customers are going to use who are benefiting or using our CDN services. You know, if they're not using CDN service, they can disable it here. You know, but if they do want to take advantage of our CDN that comes with a package, this is where they would do it, right? They would configure, you know, what kind of caching do they want to do? Do they want to use standard static caching that looks at headers? Do they want to be more dynamic? And then some customers that don't know will set it to aggressive and let Incapsula determine what should be cached, right? So that's nice. A lot of customers, you know, maybe don't know if they can benefit from caching. Well, you know, if they don't know, they can turn that on, and Incapsula will, through its algorithms, will determine whether or not something should be cached, right? So that's a nice feature, you know, from the CDN service. Advanced caching rules, you know, you can do URLs. You can do rules to not allow any URLs to be cached. Really customizable. You know, there's really not a lot that our CDN, you know, it compares just to like the Akamai's, the Edge casts. So, you know, we stand up against those CDNs just as well. Our WAF, let's go here to security. I mentioned earlier blocking countries. You know, a lot of customers don't do business with outside countries, and some do. This is where you could add the countries, right? You can add who do I want to block, who do I want to do business with. You can do that very easily and very intuitively here through the portal. Block URLs. If there's certain URLs that should never be exposed to the internet, right? You don't want those URLs being exposed. You can add URLs here to never have those exposed to the outside world. Same with IP addresses, right? You can block IP ranges, you can block subnets. If you know there's a bad user, bad subnet or what have you, you can add the entire IP range here in the security tab. Then whitelisting. So a lot of customers will whitelist IP addresses like their office, right? Let me whitelist my office IP because that IP is from my office and I trust it, right? So you can do whitelist as well. Again, getting back to this little exclamation point, you can hover over, right, and check and see, if this is something I want to do, is this, am I in the right spot? This will definitely help you. Very intuitive. This is the WAF tab, right? So the WAF tab is, really the heart and soul of the Incapsula, product right here, right? This is where customers come in, they look at what's going on, how do they have their WAF set up, right? By default, a customer is going to online their website with Incapsula. All this will be set to alert only. The only thing that's going to be set to automatic is the DDoS mitigation service. So it just takes a customer coming in here, setting this to block, and just like that, you have an active WAF, helping your website, preventing any malicious activity to your website. We can go deeper. I don't want to, I don't know how deep y'all want to go. Backdoor Protect, Shannon mentioned this earlier as well. Backdoor Protect is meant for, sometimes we talk to customers and they already have something going on their website, right? Someone's already installed malicious code, something's already happened. Well, Backdoor Protect would pick that up, it would quarantine that backdoor, and also give you remediation help on how to remove that backdoor from the website, right? And of course, it would discover, if something happens, it would pick up on new ones as well. But a lot of times, we talk to customers and they have, they already have a backdoor open that they never knew about, right? So this would definitely pick up on that. And then you can set it here as well, what I want it to do. Do I want it to alert me? Do I want to quarantine it and stop it, or just ignore it altogether, right? So that we went through really quickly, but that is a quick rundown of what the portal looks like and how easy it is to use for your customers.
Hey, thank you, Dan.
And I think Dylan was able to hop on. Dylan, are you there?
I am. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can. Do you have anything you want to chime in on?
Yeah, Dan, thanks very much for going through the portal demo. I think I just want to reiterate or maybe just clarify for everybody who's in the call. Some of this might be a little deep in the weeds. It might be a bit over your head from a web security perspective. I think it's really good for us to bring this product in on our kind of series of 3 security products. They do work well together, but know that there are resources here. Myself, the Incapsula team, the solutions engineers at RapidScale are available to help if you hear some of the keywords like WordPress or web security, or my reputation of my reputation of my company based on my website's vulnerabilities. Those types of things are good things to listen for, and then we can hop in, we can do these demos, talk to the IT team, talk to the security team, whoever it is that is the audience within your customer's IT organization. So I think it's just keep that in mind. Some of this might be a little deep for you, but we've got expertise that can help you walk through these things. Dan, thanks very much for going through that. And guys, I apologize for not being able to join earlier. I had some technical difficulties. So. Summer, were there any questions that were sent over while Shannon and Dan were going through that?
Yeah, I actually have 3 at the moment. This one I answered in the question pane, but I think it's good for everyone to hear. So is this a standalone product that we can provide, and can it be a gateway for other services?
Great question. I almost feel like maybe we paid somebody to ask that question. Yes, absolutely. It can be a standalone product. You don't have to have RapidScale services. You don't have to have any kind of cloud services. It could be a website hosted in the customer's closet. It could be a website hosted at GoDaddy. It could be a website hosted in our environment. It doesn't really matter from a web security perspective. We can protect those websites. From a DDoS mitigation perspective, and we really didn't dive in, I don't believe, really dive into some of the additional services that we can do from a DDoS mitigation perspective with this product. let's say you have a customer that has a 50 meg Ethernet circuit and has been hit a couple of times with a DDoS attack. There are some qualifying questions you have to ask to qualify that from a requirements perspective, but we can just provide DDoS mitigation services as well. So I know we're kind of focused on web security with this webinar. That's where we have the most traction. That's where we get the most, get more traction with customers on opportunities. But we can do DDoS mitigation as well. And because it is a low cost to entry to get a customer in on this, kind of like Mimecast, kind of like ShareFile, the other products that we have that are easy to sell, it is a good foot in the door with customers. So definitely something to keep your ears open. It's not complicated. It's easy to get in, easy to sell, and then at that point we've got some stickiness and some traction with that particular customer. Some other ones, Summer?
Yep. So excuse my pronunciation here, but what are the key selling points against Akamai for DDoS?
Perfect. Yes, Akamai. Akamai is the 10,000-pound gorilla in the CDN space. They were kind of first to market. They have an extensive deployment of resources throughout the world. And if you want to pay a premium and you need some serious CDN, Akamai is a good company. They really are. It's hard to compete against their CDN capabilities. However, I've been involved in selling. I'll just tell you about one in particular, an opportunity where this customer was paying Akamai $20,000 a month for just CDN services. They were interested in getting additional security services, so we introduced them to Incapsula. Went through a proof of concept. They found that the CDN within Incapsula was more than sufficient for their needs from an application delivery and acceleration perspective. And for less than what they were paying Akamai, they also got load balancing. They also got the WAF component, and they got the DDoS mitigation for their multiple websites. And they had, I think, about 50. So it was a fantastic opportunity. So from a DDoS mitigation perspective only, Akamai uses an acquisition they made by a company called Prolexic. They don't have nearly as many scrubbing centers. They don't have near the scrubbing capacity that Incapsula does with their 38 points of presence. And it's more expensive. So absolutely, if you hear the term Akamai, think RapidScale and Incapsula. If you hear DDoS mitigation, web security, think RapidScale and Incapsula. Is there another one?
Yep, the last one I see right now is this a self-serve setup or do you manage it?
So like our other security products, Alien Vault, which this product will tie into Alien Vault, which is our security information and events manager or unified security management. Like Mimecast, like all of the other services that we provide, we will provide first level support for the product. It does have the capability of being set up by your IT organization. We're not going to remove that ability. If your customer wants to sign up and do it all themselves, that's fine. But we will provide not only setup but also support, first level support for the product, and then of course we'll leverage the Incapsula support team if we need to escalate to something that our team is not able to handle.
Awesome, and I think that's it. So Shannon and Dan, do you have anything to chime in or add on?
Yes, in closing, just bring it all together. Security is a hot topic. Should be a very easy conversation for you to have with your clients. We address a large need in the market. You're offering the best solution on the planet. Many resources have come out and named us the market leader. Forrester Wave, Gartner Magic Quadrant are very good examples of that. Product's very intuitive, very easy to use. It's a very low entry point. Hopefully we drove home that fact when Dan went through the user interface. And what we're looking from you guys are at-bats. Customers that have security initiatives, customers that need to keep their websites up, which should be the majority, if not all of your customers, then get us engaged early and often. Reach out to RapidScale, reach out to Dylan, and we'll help move that ball down to the goal line. So that's all I have. We're here to support your efforts. Dylan is your point of contact. RapidScale is your point of contact, and we look forward to working with you out in the field.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank
Shannon.
you, Dan and
Just,
Shannon,
say
so
one
much
more
for joining.
thing.
Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, Summer. I just wanted to mention one more thing for everybody that's on the call. We can, at no commitment, no cost, can set up a trial. It's a 14-day trial. We can work with the SEs on the RapidScale side. We'll work with your customer to qualify the opportunity to get them set up with a proof of concept. I think it was mentioned in the deck that we have a very high close rate when we get the customer to invest the small amount of time that it takes to turn this on and layer Incapsula on top of their website. So please keep us in mind for that. It's very easy to get that trial set up and get their website protected. And if it's a scenario where they're actually in the middle of or suspect that they're under attack, we have ways of helping with that as well and get them quickly protected and into an ongoing service that will keep them protected. So thanks everybody for joining today, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. And just really quick to wrap up, our next sales training is on September 6th with Bob Buchanan, and we'll also have the Citrix team with us training on how to sell share files. So we hope you join that one. Thanks to everyone for joining, and thanks Shannon and Dan for taking the time out of your day to do this webinar with us. Happy Wednesday.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.